Happy holiday greetings, everyone. My name is Vivian, but you can call me Viv. In case you didn't know that yet, this special is known to be the very first special of the Arthur series franchise. Except for the one before this one, but technically it's not really official. So anyway, I am excited to be finally reviewing this. So I'm going to get to it by saying the following such. This special is directed by Greg Bailey, written by Peter K. Hirsch, and storyboarded by Eric Bergeron, Marie Blanchard, Angus Bungay, Mario Cabrera, Gary Cabell, Emma Newell Gignac, Stephanie Gignac, Lyndon Ruddy, Nick Valinakis, and Robert Yap, and everyone else who was responsible for creating this holiday-filled special. Let's get started. This special begins beautifully, with a lookout view of Elwood City in the evening with the Christmas Canon song, the instrumental piano version, playing in the background. It's my second favorite Christmas song. And everything else afterwards is just magical. Then the title shows up with all of its Christmassy glory. We soon realize that Arthur is the one playing this beautiful piece of music, as he briefly breaks the fourth wall about knowing that this Christmas will be the best one ever. With the magic of Arthur's imagination, he starts composing his own Christmas song on the spot, as most musicals tend to do. He sings about everything that he wants for Christmas. To clarify, he doesn't mention any Christmas presents that he really wants to get, which is really odd, I must say, since he's still a kid. DW interrupts Arthur's aftersong thought, telling him that she needs help writing her letter to Santa Claus, which ruins Arthur's whole "this Christmas is going to be the most perfect one ever" mood. Next morning, DW mails her letter to Santa, and they head off to school. Arthur wants to listen to the radio for snow that he wished in his song. I doubt Dr. Jake will be helpful with that. But instead, we get a jingle for Tina the Talking Tabby. It slowly gives Arthur a headache, and the station is changed to the next song on Arthur's Perfect Christmas CD. But of course, it's only the music part of the song, because it wouldn't make that much sense that Arthur and his friends made a Christmas song that was put on the radio. You know, I can actually see that happening. With Muffy's charitable help, of course. Tina the Talking Tabby is a toy that TW wants to get from Santa Claus. Later, Francine gets annoyed that Muffy still doesn't know that she isn't coming to her Christmas party, and that she's celebrating Hanukkah with her family on that day. She complains this to Arthur, but he turns out to be no help at the end, which is very rude of him. Also, how come Muffy doesn't hear what Francine is saying to her? I find this a little too convenient for the planned storyline, so it makes Muffy look stupid. The next scene confuses me. George talks about celebrating Lucia Day, and Binky talks about helping the soup kitchen. So the reason why this scene confuses me is that Francine must have presented what her family celebrated to the class. But I suppose Muffy was conveniently not listening. Again. Or maybe it's just a plot hole. Who knows? After school, Arthur asks Buster if he wants to come with him to shop for Christmas presents. But Buster is too tired, even though he didn't look tired in the previous scene that he was in. He explains to Arthur that his mom has a problem thinking that every day in December is Christmas, which is kind of weird. And it's because his mom is worried that he won't have a great Christmas, since his parents are divorced. And he wishes that Christmas wasn't such a big deal. While they both exit the school, Muffy makes the Christmas holiday a big deal, pretending to be the Christmas of Princess. The Princess of Christmas, in order to advertise her party for everyone to come, even though she handed invitations to specific people she was inviting, which is another stupid thing that Muffy does. Later at the mall, Arthur and his mom split up to go shopping for everyone's Christmas present and meet back at a certain time at a certain place. But Arthur is only getting a present for his dad and his mom. And not for DW, Kate, Grandma Thora, and Grandpa Dave. I guess he's on a tight allowance budget or something. Anyway, he gets an olive depictor for his dad, and a little glass bird for his mom, to replace the one that he broke last summer. After he waits in a long line, he thinks that cash can be referred to coins, which is stupid, but he's a kid after all, so I guess that makes sense. Then later he goes on a brief, unnecessary crazy adventure to avoid the horrible "I'm Tina the talking tabby. I'm Tina, tiny Tina, tiny Tina the talking tabby." I don't know why, but I love this song. I wish it was on Arthur's Perfect Christmas CD. Arthur makes it out alive from the terrifying Tiny Tina looping jingle, and he finally meets up with his mom. I'm surprised he didn't break anything that he bought during that hectic thrill ride. Later, an ancient 3D rectangle CD is sent by Jane Reed's brother. It ends up being hilarious, and Arthur mentions that Uncle Fred broke a tea set Dad got for Mom last Christmas. It's going to be important later on. Arthur finds out that the feast that he imagined for Christmas dinner will be very, very, very old-fashioned. Next morning, the same thing that is happening to Buster happens again, and it doesn't look like it's going well. Later that night, when it's snowing fake snow, everyone is having a blast at Muffy's Christmas party. Except for Arthur, who is more concerned about not getting snow than having fun at a Christmas party. Brain tells Arthur that no one knows when Jesus is born and some other smart stuff that is historical knowledge. But Arthur doesn't care and he just wants snow. Right when the music stops, the band disappears in some way in less than a second when the Christmas of Princess... another typo. Muffy announces that she will be giving presents to her guests. And the first one is for Francine. But Francine is currently celebrating Hanukkah until she gets a hair-blowing phone call from Muffy. They argue for a bit as Muffy says something that offends Francine and the holiday that she celebrates.
How rude!
No, Muffy, no. You're the one who is being rude. Later, Buster is found sleeping on a piece of chocolate cake. Arthur suggests to Buster to create his own holiday called Baxter Day. One music video later, Buster isn't sure that his mom would want to do it. But he will never know unless he tries. Arthur comes home whistling a song that I can't identify. After he comes inside, he comes across DW's version of a Christmas tree. He gets the opportunity to decorate the top half of what he wants the tree to look like. And I suppose this takes him a long time until the evening of the next day on Sunday when he goes to church in the evening. When they get back, Arthur makes the final touches to his mom's Christmas present. But his moment is yet again interrupted by DW, who wants to make everything perfect for Santa. Later, instead of snow, it rains. I hate it when it rains during the winter. The ground is like a bumpy ice rink, making walking around a Winter Olympic event. Arthur breaks the fourth wall with an optimistic attitude about the present for his mom. Then Uncle Fred crashes by, literally, with his dog Rory, who causes some problems about the present. That makes Arthur put it in a closet on the high shelf. Hopefully that won't lead into any problems. Next morning, music builds up with a choir, making this yearly morning event magical in the most powerful way. Nothing turns out that well with Buster and his mom.
The pancakes are burning! The pancakes are burning!
It's fine. It's just one burnt pancake. You can always make more. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, Muffy has a great Christmas until she realizes that she's not friends with Francine anymore. Then she sings a whole song about it. Back at Arthur's house, they are about to unwrap Christmas presents. DW is relieved. But Arthur has to put the opening presents on hold, leaving DW trying so hard not to open her present from Santa Claus. Of course, the reason for Arthur's sudden absence is because of his mom's special Christmas present that he needs to get. Arthur imagines the small gift-giving moment, but then his imagination grows to the point of Arthur being a celebrity in his animated universe. Also, the giant Arthur balloon of the Macy Thanksgiving Parade from our universe makes an appearance. Arthur's back to reality, then his present falls onto a dog bed. Then it falls again, and breaks. Okay, so you are telling me that from Arthur's crazy mini adventure through the toy store, that could have gotten him banned from the mall for life, it doesn't break. And also from Rory's chaos, it still doesn't break into a dozen pieces. Then it finally shatters when it falls 2 inches from the ground. I don't know the signs of fragile objects, but during those 2 mini adventures, the glass bird should have broke, especially during this part. Meanwhile, Buster and his mom dine at a fancy French brunch restaurant. Buster tries to tell his mom that Christmas shouldn't be a big deal. In other words, they shouldn't celebrate it because it's so stressful. Buster fails and just tells his mom what she wants to hear. Back at Arthur's home, TW's impatience continues to grow into frustration of Arthur's absence. Uncle Fred goes up to check on him, and Arthur tells him what happened, and they both have a heart-to-heart moment. Arthur feels much better, and for some reason Fred takes the lid of Arthur's Christmas present. Then back to Muffy, who is mourning her lost friendship with Francine at Brain's family ice cream shop. Muffy wonders why Brain is working, since he's under the age of 18.
I think that's against child labor laws.
But that's not what Muffy is wondering about. She's wondering why Brain is working on Christmas Day. And he explains that he's going to celebrate Kwanzaa tomorrow, making Muffy want to celebrate one herself next year, believing Francine will go to that one. Back at Arthur's place, Arthur's still sad from what happened earlier while everyone is having a good time, except for TW. Better call the Temper Tantrum Patrol Squad.
Thank heavens you're here.
But then the brief, traumatizing moment is over. Arthur eventually gives himself the courage to tell Mom what happened to the Christmas present. Before he could, Uncle Fred interrupts him, and it appears unintentional. But we later find out that it's not. Uncle Fred says that there is one more present under the tree for Arthur's mom, saying that it's from Arthur, with the evidence of Arthur's rectangular note attached to the wrapped gift. And it's the tea set Uncle Fred broke last Christmas. Arthur tries to tell his mom the truth, but they get interrupted by a tow truck beeping and a mechanic that is going to fix Fred's car. A Christmas miracle. Meanwhile, at Francine's home, Muffy comes over to visit. Muffy breaks the ice by saying that she's sorry for not listening to her, and says that the Christmas party was really important to her. Then Francine tells Muffy why Hanukkah is important to her. Muffy understands and apologizes for not listening to her again, but in a more meaningful way. Then they go to the movies, because it's open during that day, I guess. Then we go back to what's going on with Buster again. Finally decides to tell his mom how he really feels, and what they should do every Christmas season, and that they should call it Baxter Day. She agrees by crumpling up the list, which held all the stressful Christmassy things that they are now not going to do. Back at Arthur's, they have a nice Christmas feast. Arthur's dad loves the olive de Pitter that he got for him, and it will be the reason why Arthur comes into contact with Adele later on. Uncle Fred announces that the mechanic was able to fix the truck, but it's not a truck. But in the next scene, it shows a truck that belongs to Grandpa Dave. Arthur and Uncle Fred have another meaningful moment, and Uncle Fred gives Arthur a few words of wisdom.
Remember, Arthur, you don't always get what you want in life. Sometimes you get something better.
Grandpa Dave is about to drive Fred to the mechanic's garage, but he crashes into the fence on the other side of the driveway. The clumsy genie, I suppose. When the rest of the Reed family walks their way back inside, Arthur finally gets the snow that he has been wishing for. Then he starts singing a song that is sadly not included on the CD. How could you? and he wonders, lyrically, what everyone else is doing. George is singing and dancing with his family, Brain prepares for Kwanzaa, and Binky tricks homeless people, in a good way, with cookies that he didn't make. Mr. Ratburn prepares for tests and quizzes for next year. Yay!
I'm being sarcastic.
Francine and Muffy are at the movies. Buster and his mom enjoy their relaxation of UFO searching as one secretly flies overhead. Back to Arthur, it appears that it's been snowing for what appears to be hours, according to the snow level, and he finally finishes his song. That should have been on the CD. How could you? GW tells Arthur to come back inside, and then annoys him with her annoying duck toy as they both walk back inside. Then, a moment later, Arthur opens the door to break the fourth wall one last time. But then he gets annoyed by the singing duck again. The end. What are my thoughts on this movie? Well, it's not that perfect. But that is only seen when you analyze this movie-like special like I did. But when I was a kid, to my eyes, it was flawless. It was the best Christmas movie ever. It was perfect. And as long as I don't pay attention to those details of the special, I would give this an A+. And that is what this special is going to get. Stories balanced well, beautifully drawn and written very, very well. It might not be perfect, but it's perfect to me. And everyone else who is wonderfully in love with this movie. And it should have been released in theaters. Happy holidays, everyone!
When you are